One day is just like every other. Here we go. One day is just like every other. Here we go. One day is just like every other. Here we go.
Lost my mind.
Here we go.
Yeah. Lost my mind.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Me having fun with my intro there. Welcome to Wardog Live. It is almost Christmas time. It is almost the end of the year, and I've got a lot of oddball stuff to talk about the whole year of 2017. But before I get into that, I want to try something a little different. Usually I get on here, and I have a list of crazy stories that I found on the internet, and I just kind of regurgitate it and tell you my perspective from it and all that good stuff. And I wanted to do something a little different. I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about my experience in Fallout 4. Now, if anyone's ever played Fallout 4, which I know most of anyone playing Xbox or PlayStation 4 has, Xbox or Fallout 4 and the Fallouts before that, 3 in New Vegas specifically. I've never played the old ones, so they love their DLCs. They absolutely love pumping out the DLCs, and they, for the most part, the Fallout guys, they do DLCs better than most people. Like, granted, there's some people that try to do it pretty well, and they give you extra weapons or maybe an extra chunk of the map and a handful of new missions. And then every once in a while, they fuck it up like Skyrim did, and they turn you into a vampire who can't fit through half the doors in the world. And I don't know, it just, sometimes that shit can be a little aggravating and not actually worth the money for the season pass that you dumped on it. But Fallout has always been really good about pumping out DLCs that are worth playing. And back in the day, I loved playing the DLCs. I loved playing the DLCs for Fallout 3. They were, even the bad ones were actually still pretty good. They always took you somewhere new. They made it into like virtual reality, however that fucking Project Anchorage thing worked, or you got sent up to a spaceship and had to go through a gauntlet of aliens. Fallout 3 had some of the best DLC ever pumped out, really. Fallout New Vegas, I can't remember exactly what they did with their DLC. They did pump new weapons and all sorts of other stuff into it. Did they have any extra levels in Fallout New Vegas?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Like extra DLC levels in New Vegas. Like extra maps and stuff like that.
They held a whole bunch.
Okay, there you go. So Fallout New Vegas did it. And then Fallout 4, they pumped out the Automaton and... God, I forgot what the rest of them were. But as time goes on and you play video games as much as everyone who watches this kind of shit does, every once in a while, like, your interest in DLCs, even though you probably already spent the fucking money on the season pass, once they finally come out every 3 months, you've kind of lost interest and you never really get into them. Now with, why are you playing video for Death Stranding?
Is that what this is?
It's definitely not Fallout.
No, this is the intro to Fallout 4.
Is it?
Yes.
Wow. Obviously, it's been a while since I watched it. It looked like the Death Stranding video. Never mind. Getting back to what I'm saying. I'll quit looking at the TV. Getting back to what I'm saying. By the time the DLC started pumping out for Fallout 4, I'd played it over and over again. I started probably half a dozen characters. I've seen at least 3 of the endings. I get this weird thing where I like to create new characters and specialize them in certain fighting styles and shit like that. Try to make a melee character, try to make a gunslinger, try to make a rifleman, you know. And I do. I burn myself out on games like that way too much. I did the same thing with Skyrim. So when the DLC started dropping for Fallout, like, I've kind of already burnt myself out on the game. I played through Automaton. I think that's the name of it. And I kind of wore myself out. Plus, that one glitched right at the end to where you couldn't finish it. That was a big fucking deal because I spent a lot of time trying to beat that thing. And then in the end, the woman was hidden behind a glass wall, and you were supposed to either be able to talk her out of it or find a way in there to kill her, and it just wasn't fucking happening. It was not having any of it. And so I kind of dismissed all the rest of the DLCs. Now, the other day I was bored, clicked it back on, started a new character. Just having a good old time with it. With Fallout 4, I always get sucked into the building the establishments or the homesteads or whatever you want to call them. I always get sucked into that. I say I'm not going to mess with it, but then as soon as I hit the Minutemen, I'm like, you know what? If you do the Minutemen little fetch quests, you level up real easy. It's an easy way to do it. So I started doing it. And I started doing it. Then I started building houses. Then I started slapping beds everywhere. Then I got into building huge fucking marketplaces and shit like that. It sucks you in every time. No matter how badly you don't want to be the fucking leader of the wasteland, you always end up doing it, or at least I do. So here I am. I'm going through it, and I've got almost all the establishments set. And it's got to the point where the guy of the Minutemen, I can't remember his name now, he quit basically giving me missions. They quit popping up. I didn't have to go defend anybody. I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to do that. So I ran out of shit to do. So the only next place to go is Brotherhood of Steel. So I wandered on down to the fucking Brotherhood of Steel, and I talked and chatted with them. And they have another series of fetch quests that are constantly generating. It's an oddball. Fallout, these open world games, they all have that. You have your main storyline, and it used to be side quests were just side quests, and eventually you'd run out of them. Well, now with games like Fallout 4, they have constantly regenerating side quests where they can constantly send you to different places on the map to go pick up an artifact or a piece of equipment, and it'll always be there, even if you've already cleaned that place out 4 or 5 times, and it was never there before. It's a handy little deal to grind. That's all it is. It's just grind missions. Well, so I was playing, and I shit you not, the first time I got the first mission, the first fetch quest I got for Fallout 4, it sent me to a place I never heard of. Never heard of it whatsoever. So I'm like, I'm following the thing, and it's sending me way up into the top corner of the map where I was convinced there was nothing up there. And I get up there, and there's a house, and it's got a family. Husband and wife complaining that their daughter's gone missing. And I was like, I have never seen any of this before. What is this? And it ended up being the lead-in to the Far Harbor DLC. I can't believe I remembered the name of it. Far Harbor DLC. So Fallout kind of cleverly tricked me into playing their DLC by sending me on a fetch quest to a place in one of their DLC maps. I thought it was very clever. I would have never bothered to play Far Harbor because the whole thing's just exhausting. They got another one, the Nuketown. Clever. What the hell? Not Nuketown. What the hell? A Nuka-Cola amusement park or some shit like that. You'd think I would remember this shit, but I did this. I wrote down this topic like 2 weeks ago, so it's been a little while. So yeah, I don't know how to start that DLC, but yeah, Fallout 4, it tricked me. It tricked me into going to their DLC by sending me. Let me see here. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. So it tricked me into going to their into their DLC map, and I did it. I got on the boat. I traveled to Far Harbor. I got in there, and it was kind of interesting at first. I mean, it was a new map. They had this whole saga going on where this weird toxic fog was infecting the whole place, and you had to figure out where the toxic fog was coming from, and it ended up being this small civil war between the Children of the Atom and a group of synths, which are basically the cyborgs of the game who sometimes look very human and you can't tell them apart. And they were accused of kidnapping people and replacing them with robots. It's a whole big thing. Anyway, so I got in there, and one of the things that actually bugged me about it was there was a kick-ass lever-action rifle that I wanted to try. But for some reason, you could only find ammo for this rifle in Far Harbor, which made no sense whatsoever. So if I ever was to take this rifle with me, go back to the regular game, I'm not going to be able to pick up ammo off just any schmo raider running around. I have to go back to Far Harbor every damn time, which granted it's just a fast travel option away. But I still have to go back, find a shop that sells the ammo, and restock my ammo for this lever action rifle. So I kind of thought that was shitty. Put all the extra guns in there you want, But just leave the fucking ammo alone. You already got like 9, 10 fucking different kinds of ammo in that game. You don't need to add more of it in your DLCs. It's silly. You got more fucking laser ammo than you ever needed. I think there's at least 4 kinds of fucking laser ammo. Some of them only go to like one particular crazy fucking laser minigun or some shit like that.
Josh Burton in chat says, fuck, fucking, fuck, 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 fuckity, fuck, fuck.
Thank you, Burton. Yeah, this one's not for the kids, ladies and gentlemen. All right, but the thing that topped everything off, the thing that I found the most clever about the Far Harbor DLC. So I get into the storyline. I'm headed through to get to the main point. I can't remember what it was called. But this is where all the synths hang out. And what the storyline is that they have, what did they do? They convinced this girl, the girl from the family you met at the shores back in the original map. They convinced her that she was a synth, that she didn't have her own memories. All her memories are fabricated. And so she's trying to figure out for herself whether or not she's actually a robot. And so I go and I talk to the main guy in Far Harbor. They're the main guy of the synth community. And he's a big, goofy-ass robot with test tubes and big fucking needles coming out of his back. I mean, like, there's no doubt he's a fucking robot. But that son of a bitch, as I talked to him, he tried to convince me I was a robot. And he did this by asking me how much I remembered from my past. And so when I'm talking about this, like, well, my past is I had a wife, I had a son, my son got kidnapped from the vault, and here I am. And he's like, no, I'm talking about your past before the nukes went off, before you and your wife had to go to the vault. Basically, before the game is what he's asking. What are your memories before the game? I was like, you tricky son of a bitch. You're trying to convince me that I'm a robot because the game developers didn't give me a fucking backstory. That's some dirty fucking shit right there. I thought it was clever as hell, but that was some dirty shit. Trying to make me believe I'm a robot because the developers didn't have a backstory for the fucking game. That was... hats off to you, BioWare. Yeah, BioWare does Fallout, don't they?
No.
Shit, who is it?
It's Bethesda.
Bethesda. Sorry. I'm bad with publishers. But still, I thought it was very creative the way they did that. Trying to trick you into thinking you're a robot because you don't have a past before the game started. It was a clever little trick. Very, very clever. But, yeah, and then after that, I actually had to uninstall Fallout from my Xbox because I was trying to fit some other stuff on there. And I put Fallout on my kid's Xbox, and I plan on doing a new playthrough and putting it up on my page or on my channel about trying to do a Survivor one. I'm tripping over my own words here. If you start one under a survivalist mode of whatever it's called, it takes away a lot of stuff and actually makes it feel like a survival game. You have to eat, you have to drink. I think even ammo has a weight to it. It doesn't weigh much, but it still has a weight to it. The big thing is, and this is the thing that literally cripples Fallout 4. It doesn't have fast travel. And to play Fallout 4 or Skyrim or any of these big games without fast travel, you're going to spend a lot of time traveling around, or you're going to spend a lot of time in one part of the map literally grinding so you get your character strong enough to actually make it out of your little safe zone at some point. And my idea for my playthrough was, all I'm going to try to do, I'm not really going to play the game as much. I'm going to do a few side quests. Probably won't join any factions because without fast traveling, you can't do the Minutemen side quests. You can't just constantly travel from outpost to outpost because whatever's going on in that outpost, being attacked by raiders or mutants or this and that and the other, you'll probably fail the mission before you even get the chance to walk halfway across the map to get there. So my plan is all I'm going to do is try to get my character from the starting point across the map to I think it's called like Odega Beach or something. It's one of the establishments If I can get my character from the starting point of the vault to Odega Beach, then that will be like my accomplishment for a survivalist playthrough on Fallout 4. But that's more to come on my channel. I will get to it. I'm going to have some time on my hands here coming up because of personal reasons. But yeah, that was Fallout 4. Let's see here. Oh, so another big game that actually just popped up. You know, it'd be nice sometimes. I don't have the amount of cash it takes to keep up on current games. So I end on stuff like this and stuff I put on my channel. I play a lot of older games. And I know when you do stuff like this, it would be nice to stay updated and play all the current stuff. And I'd probably get more views out of it. I just pumped out 2 episodes of Toe Jam and Earl from Sega onto my channel, and I think they've literally gotten no views. Because either nobody remembers Toe Jam and Earl, or they think Toe Jam and Earl suck balls. I loved it. I don't care what you say. But so PubG just dropped 2 weeks ago on the old Xbox. And it is your basic battle royale. A lot of people act like it started the battle royale craze. And it kind of did. And now 1,000 people are going to try to copy it. Fortnite already did. There was a rumor that Call of Duty was going to do one over in Japan. I guess there's a Call of Duty online. I don't know if I talked about this last episode or not. I probably did. Anyway, PUBG's dropped. It is pretty good. It's not great. But a lot of fans that bought the game threw a huge fit because on Xbox One, even maybe on the Xbox One X, it doesn't run 60 frames per second. And they're pissy about it. They don't seem to understand why their game that's not finished, still in preview mode, blatantly still in development, doesn't run 60 frames per second. Get the fuck over yourselves, guys. It's a stupid thing to complain about. You're literally, you can tell, I mean, and sometimes it looks like a goddamn PS2 game. But it's still fun to play. It's got the vehicles and a few things that Fortnite was missing. So I don't understand what the big deal is. I love the fact that you could literally start the game butt naked and then pick clothes up in the map as you go along. Now, granted, the shooting mechanics are a little rough. It does, sometimes it seems like, I got into a fight the other day where I had a frying pan, and it was the beginning of the fucking match. I had a frying pan. Some dude went at me with fists because I walked into the little shack he was in, and he beat me to death with his fists when I have a frying pan because I was just jamming on the trigger, and the damn frying pan wouldn't swing. I didn't realize that you had to press the button, let him go through the whole swing, kind of a big old full tennis swing. That way you could get your full hit. It took me a good 5 seconds to figure out why the fucking frying pan wouldn't swing. And it was because I had to tap the button, let him swing, tap the button for the backhand. And yeah, that guy beat me to death with his fists when I had a frying pan because the mechanics are a little goofy on it and I could not hit him with the frying pan. I think I got 2 solid hits, and then one of my teammates got him outside as he left the shack. It was a little janky. It didn't work. Some of that shit doesn't work right yet. But like I said, it's still in development. It's still very early. So you can't bitch about a game that's not done yet, especially when you buy the game, it tells you it's not fucking done yet. It's just, you got to stop. It bugs me. I don't even care. 30 frames per second doesn't bother me at all. Everyone's like, it just doesn't run smooth and it's not beautiful if it's not 60 frames per second. It's not a big fucking deal. We've been playing 30 frames per second games forever now. One day they will have it mastered. One day with the Xbox One XXX fucking glowing console, they will have that shit mastered. But now it's just not there yet. And gamers have to realize if they want that, they're going to have to go spend $2,000 on a fucking PC that will probably overheat on them in 6 months or something stupid like that. Here I go bashing the PC gamers again. But you just have to stop complaining about 60 frames per second. It's not worth the argument. It's not worth fucking overblowing Facebook and other gaming chat rooms about it. Just stop. Just stop. Now, before I move on from PUBG, I do want to kind of compare it to Fortnite, because I played both for a short amount of time. The one thing that these games both have in common, playing them single player is damn near horrible. It's boring because there's a lot of traveling involved. Fortnite doesn't have vehicles, so that makes it even worse. First thing I said when I started playing Fortnite, I just spent literally like 2 minutes in real time running across the field while this big blue wall was nipping on my ass the whole damn way. This game needs vehicles. I played PUBG, and it has vehicles. It doesn't have enough. It doesn't have as many as I think it should. Sometimes they're hard to find, and I guess to a point, that's probably a good thing. But I don't know. I kind of wish there were more vehicles. I've seen it to where they tried like death races and stuff. But yeah, it just needs more vehicles. I understand the point of it. You're supposed to sink everybody into the middle, and if you're falling behind, the wall might get you and kill you off. But I think it would be better with more vehicles. I think Fortnite needs vehicles. Another thing, I actually prefer PUBG over Fortnite is the gunplay. For some reason, Fortnite's gunplay just doesn't seem to work right. I've seen people online who can knock sniper rifle shots out from 400 yards. They use the little notches on the scope, and they can seem to pull it off just fine. I can never do that. I can't really get kills with shotguns and assault rifles. It doesn't seem to work. But on PUBG, I can get kills. I don't know why it's different. I don't know what the difference is. And that game is definitely slower pace than, don't want to talk about frame rates again, but still, it runs slower than Fortnite does. But for some reason, I can get hits. I can get kills.
Josh Burton in chat says $2,000. A good video card is over $1,000 by itself.
Exactly what I'm saying. Why would you spend that much money on a game or on a system? Or yeah, fucking, it's ridiculous. I don't like it. Fuck PCs. If you have the money to spend on them and you know what you're doing, more power to you. I will never sink that much money into a gaming PC. I hope to God I never spend more than $500 on a console. But you never know. I know I shouldn't have spent $500 on my Xbox One. I should have waited 3 more months and they would have went down in price. But that's not as bad as someone I know who has like 4 of them sitting around his house. One of them is an ARC server. He knows who I'm talking to because he's the only one watching. But yeah, so if I had to choose between PUBG and Fortnite, honestly, I would probably go PUBG. And it has nothing to do with the realistic graphics or anything like that. It just seems like they know what they're doing because that's the game they wanted to build. Fortnite is figuring it out, but for them, I just seen a thing today where they are going to fix the gun spray and all that stuff, make it a little more accurate. But I don't know, just for the most part, PUBG just does it better, and it should because that's the game it was trying to be. What else do I have here? Let's see here. We will save the lists for last. We will save Detroit for just a second. I would like to talk for a minute. The other day, I spent a whole 15 minutes reading my Game Informer, like I do every month. 15 minutes, and I'm pretty much done with the whole magazine. And I was flipping through it, and I noticed a very strange thing. I don't read all the articles. Some of these articles are very long-winded, and I've never been a huge reader anyway. But I like to check out the reviews and some of the previews. When they have like their 19-page fucking preview of a game that's not going to be out for 9 months, I barely read the picture captions on that shit. But I flipped over to the timeline in the Game Informer, and I was looking through the game releases for January. And I was looking, and this is what they got. For January, they have I'm not going to name all these games off, but 4 games coming out for PS4 and PC and 3DS, mixed all up there, not 4 each, but literally PS4, 3DS, fucking Switch, and PC have all got exclusive games coming out in the month of January. Xbox One, the only games that they have coming out in January is a Dragon Ball Z game and Monster Hunter World, which we've all know I've talked about before. But neither of those games are exclusives to Xbox. So what exactly is Xbox doing wrong that fucking Digimon and Kirby and whatever the fuck Nino Kuni is? How is it all these games are coming out for all the other consoles and Xbox is getting completely left in the dust? And there is not one game coming out in January that is just Xbox exclusive. It's ridiculous. And then I got into the actual previews. And I flipped through all those. And literally, the only game that is Xbox exclusive that they're talking about that coming out in any time soon is a game called Session. And it's literally a fucking skateboarding game, which I thought we were done with after Tony Hawk and the SSX games and a couple of other ones like that finally hit the dirt and they quit fucking making them. I thought we were done with skateboarding trick games. They're pointless. They were cool in the 90s when you smoked weed, but fucking, you know, there's no fucking call for it now. Even the potheads don't care about fucking skateboard games anymore. So I want to know, and I'm not blaming Game Informer for this. It's not Game Informer's fault that Xbox isn't making any exclusives. And I know it's not a new thing. We've talked about it before. Xbox have always been on the low end for the exclusives. But I mean, when is Xbox finally going to step up and start making a couple exclusives to where they really get their presence known for something other than just being a third-party console player? It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's getting a little old. I don't feel like I cheated myself with my Xbox One. My Xbox One runs great. It plays everything that I want to play. But I am envious of PlayStation 4 for a lot of different games that just aren't coming out. Even in the reviews. I don't think there is one fucking Xbox exclusive in the reviews. And I know we just went through November. I know all the big games just pumped out. But if I think back on all the big games that pumped out during November, I want to say one of the few Xbox One games that were exclusive was Cuphead. And don't get me wrong, Cuphead's probably a really good game. I'm not going to play it till it gets cheaper because I'm not paying $30 for a side scroller that'll probably piss me off in 10 minutes and fucking then I'll never play it again because it is an uber hard side scroller and it prides itself on it. It looks great. It looks like the cartoons you've seen from the 40s, like early Disney cartoons and shit like that, Steamboat Willie and all that crazy shit. I mean, it looks really cool, but when that is the only big exclusive you have during the main release dates or release time of the year, it's no surprise that Xbox is slipping a little bit. When PlayStation can pump out crazy awesome games like Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War and whatever others that I can't think of at the moment because I'm ranting and losing my train of thought, it's just kind of sad. And like I said, I don't blame Game Informer. They have what they have. Actually, the funny part, I'll go back to my Game Informer one more time. They actually had a big article on the Xbox One X stating the most powerful console that they have, or that's out there, that's available, but power for what purpose? They actually have a big article on exactly what can you do with your Xbox One X? What is really the purpose? Are there enough Xbox One enhanced games out there to justify spending the money on the console? Is there really a strong need for something that big? How long will it be until you get games that are maybe exclusive to Xbox One X? That's what it's going to take for me to buy one. When they start making games exclusive for the Xbox One X, then I'll think about buying one. When they finally throw the Xbox One into the dirt and say the Xbox One X is where we're pumping all our attention at now, that's when I'll go buy an Xbox One X. But yes, Game Informer didn't do hardly any stories on any games for Xbox One, but they did a whole big fucking article about whether or not the Xbox One X is really worth the buy. And granted, I didn't read the whole article, but I'm sure they bashed it pretty good. Because they're right. I mean, there aren't enough games out there to justify having it. All right, I got to bring my notes up again. Okay. So this next story, I'm going to have to ask my producer to bring up a video for Detroit Become Human. And I want to talk about this game.
Any specific video?
It's be the one with a girl that kind of looks like a nanny, and she's talking to a scary guy that looks like Trevor from Grand Theft Auto. I should have fucking named. I think it's the main last expose trailer that they pumped out. Bring it up, and I'll tell you if you got the right one. Oh, I knew I should have copied the name of the damn video down. Let's see here. Is this it? I think this is it. Yep, this is it. All right, so this game coming up, Detroit Become Human. The main story of the game is it's going to have a lot of different scenarios that you play. I don't know if it's going to be in any certain order. It probably will be. But the idea of it is that Detroit has a whole system of cyborgs that you can buy or rent to do different jobs for you, anywhere from nannies to police negotiators to literally, like, you can have these cyborgs be mannequins in your store. But the idea of it is that they gave these cyborgs artificial intelligence to the points where they do feel and they make decisions, and they have, they work on their own. They have their own feelings. They literally think they're alive. And if you bring them into your home, they think that they can become to think that you're a part of the family. And now this storyline here follows a nanny who's trying to take care of a girl who has a questionable father type who may or may not be horribly violent. And as you see now, yeah, he runs up the stairs. Let's take a look right there at that picture, though. Why is it that every scary character in video games now has to look like Trevor off Grand Theft Auto? If you listen to his voice, it literally sounds like fucking Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5. I thought that was kind of a cheap thing. Now, here's where it gets kind of crazy. He lays her down in the bed. She looks dead to everyone. And then he turns around at the robot girl and starts screaming that she's the cause of it. Now, that is worst case scenario of this game. That the girl gets killed by her father because he's an abusive ass. But the point of the game is that you may never even actually get to that part. The whole game is based on a series of choices that you make to end the scenario in whichever way you think is, in any way you can, to save the girl or to save the guy. And so it shows all these possible scenarios of her grabbing the gun or trying to protect the girl, getting her out the window, trying to escape. I mean, it looks really cool, and it gives you the idea that you control the story. And through the game, there will be a bunch of different stories. I watched videos about a police negotiator who had to walk around a crime scene collecting evidence so he could talk a cyborg down from shooting a little girl on the side of a rooftop because his family, or the family that he was owned by, was going to replace him with a newer model. And so, there's literally, it's a process that you have to go through to gain the information to get the best outcome to the story. The reason I brought this up is because, here comes the hostage negotiation. Just let it play. The reason I brought this up is there was a group, there's always a group, named Child Lifeline or some nonsense like that. And they went to Sony and they attacked the game because it had scenes of child abuse in their game, and they didn't want them to publicize child abuse in video games meant for children, and blah, 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 the same old argument. The only problem is that is not what it's doing. It's not making child abuse look fun. It's not using child abuse to sell their game. It's just a part of the story. And since it's trying to be extremely realistic, doing stuff like that kind of makes sense. My wife, who I showed the trailer to, and she cried at the end because she thought it was super sad, actually supported that it was in the game, because maybe this will actually cause awareness to these things that are happening. And in a society that we're in now, some people don't know what to do if they know someone in a household is getting abused or their life is threatened. We've kind of gotten complacent to the idea that there is nothing we can do to stop it, or there's not anyone you can call to stop it. There's enough 1-800 numbers out there that you think people would know, but sometimes people just don't put 2 and 2 together until it's too late. And so maybe playing a video game like this would help you out in real life in situations like this where you could save somebody. It makes sense. So do I think that they went too far? Not at all. You have all sorts of games where you do all sorts of violent shit just because at this point in time it's happening to a little kid, which in fact you may never even see it happen, because if you do everything you're supposed to do beforehand, you'll save the little girl's life. It makes complete sense. And to the storyline, it follows through. And I mean, I don't know. It bugs me when all this child abuse group is trying to do is get into the headlines by banging on Sony's door and being like, hey, we saw this 5-second clip of a girl laying on a bed motionless, and we think that you're trying to glorify child abuse. Not what they're doing whatsoever. It looks like a really good game. Granted, like the scene here with the offer or the negotiator, literally all you'll be doing is wandering around the room waiting for the A button to pop up, and you'll scan whatever pops up. And you know, it's not like you're really digging around having to find stuff. There'll always be a button prompt where you're supposed to notice this thing one way or another. So, I mean, it'll be one of those games to a point, but I think the story is going to be a very interesting storyline, because you play as these cyborgs who are just a touch away from having every emotion that a human has. And you have to decide, like, where do I lie on the whole cyborgs may be slaves argument, you know, because there's another one where there's a group of cyborgs actually trying to break out a group of cyborgs out of a mall, because all they're being used for is mannequins. They have all the thoughts and all the emotions of every other robot ever created in this world, but us as humans literally make them put clothes on and stand in a store for 12 to 15 hours at a time because we believe they're lesser beings. So it's kind of a cool idea of, like, do you side with the cyborgs because we fucked up and gave them all the abilities to pretend to be human, or as the title says, become human? Or do you side with the humans and be like, listen, we created you. You have to understand that this is how this is going to end. We created you and we will destroy you if we need to. So I think there's a lot of potential for this game to be a great game. But the fact that it's getting attacked by some child abuse group for one scene, it's ridiculous. It threw me through a loop. I thought it was insane. I showed it to my daughter. She thought it was an interesting idea, even though it was super sad. My wife thought it was actually a really good idea because it grows awareness for this kind of thing. I mean, if you got a PlayStation when it comes out next year, I think you should check it out. Like back to what I was saying about Xboxes and their lack of exclusives. This is that kind of game that almost seems like Microsoft would never let it pass because it doesn't have enough action. It doesn't have enough shooting, chainsaws and shotguns and all that good stuff. It just has story and exploration and good, thorough decision making, which I think a lot of games pretend to have, but in the end, they don't. So it's just, I think it's going to be a really good game. It shouldn't have been attacked. Check it out. Detroit Become Human.
Well, there's the answer.
What's that?
Quantic Dream. I was wondering why.
Can you explain a little bit?
It's amazing. You do a show about video games and you have no fucking idea who Quantic Dream is.
No, I don't. Please elaborate.
Quantic Dream is the company that created Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls. I mean, this is their forte. This is the games. These are the games they make.
Oh, okay.
So I was watching this. As I was watching the videos of this, I was like, boy, this looks awfully familiar. It looks awfully familiar because it's fucking Heavy Rain. I was going to say the whole time when you were describing it, it's fucking Heavy Rain.
It does look a lot like Heavy Rain. No, that's my Achilles heel of video games. I don't remember publishers ever. I'm horrible about it. There's a handful of them I remember, but I will always screw up who makes what game.
Yeah, those are all in the those that developer has stuck with PlayStation because PlayStation 3 was the only console. Like I guess Xbox 360 couldn't handle those games because it didn't have the Blu-ray player.
Okay.
So since it had the extra storage capacity, it could do games like this. So that's why Quantic Dream signed an exclusivity deal, I think, with the PlayStation.
But how long could a deal like that last, though? I mean, come on. Eventually, you think they would have to renew their contract and maybe expand onto other consoles?
They're probably getting a good deal. I mean, that's one.
They probably are. I'm sure.
This is one of those games that really draws people into the platform because you know you can only play it on the PlayStation.
And it's a different type of game completely. It's not your usual shoot 'em up, kill zone kind of game, which is also a PlayStation exclusive. But
so yeah, I liked Heavy Rain. I thought Heavy Rain had a really kick-ass story.
I never played it because I only had my hands on a PS3 for a short time.
Well, trust me, it was a good story.
It looked great. I mean, I remember when it came out, but
and that dealt with killing kids.
Did it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the fuck the people you're talking about in this story they're going on about. Apparently, they've never heard of the game Heavy Rain because the whole point is a father trying to track his son goes missing, and he gets messages about he has to go through the Saw-like fucking puzzle shit to save his son. But you can actually let your son die.
Huh.
I mean, that's one of the available options. You can let everybody in that fucking game die and let the killer go free. Get away with it if you so choose.
If you're a shitty detective, basically.
Kinda. But it's French company, so the only thing I'd hope with this game is that they did a better job with the voice acting than with Heavy Rain. Because oh my god.
If you ever check this out off of here, because I think we're about done with this topic, but there is when it finally gets to the negotiation part. I mean, it does. The voice acting on here is really good. The writing's really good. I thought the whole negotiation scene was really, really well worked out. It doesn't have a whole lot with the nanny part because it's just screaming and running away. But with the whole Heavy Rain, he does the full on talking him down.
Have you seen what happens when the program goes wrong?
No.
When the decision-making shit goes wrong?
The hell is going on?
It's a glitch. It was a glitch in the gameplay.
Where he just sits there and yells Sean over and over again? Oh my god.
Oh, it gets better.
Jesus. That's fucking funny. Hey, I brought you a sandwich. Sean!
You're the father I've been looking for all these years.
I've been going on for all these years.
Giving his whole life to save his son. You got it.
Oh, God. His name isn't even Sean. Sean!
I'm afraid that's not possible.
Oh, shit.
Knows my little secret. I don't
Yeah, I'm surprised you've never heard of that before.
No, I've never seen that. That's funny as hell.
Yeah, I shouldn't have shown you that because if you ever want to play the game in the future, that just gave away a big part of it.
You mean if I ever dig up a PS3? Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably get one for
like
$20.
If I ever dig up a PS3, I'm playing The Last of Us, and then I'm going to put it back where I found it. I've never played The Last of Us, and that part really bugs me. It's the only thing I really feel like I missed on PS3 was Last of Us. And I know you can play it on PS4 now, and if I ever get my hands on a PS4, by that time, Last of Us 2 will be out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. All right, what else do I have left? All right, so we did Detroit Become Human. We did the Fallout 4. We did the PubG. Let's go through the Game of the Year nominations. I kind of compiled this list not just from one spot. I watched a bunch of different Game of the Year stuff, and I kind of wanted to go over my take on what everyone else thinks is a good game. The sad part about this is I think except for except for PubG, I have not played any of the games on this list. It's kind of sad, really. So it started out with Cuphead. Cuphead was, a breakthrough for indie side scroller. Uber hard, but the graphics were wonderful. The music was great. It looked like a really good game. A little high priced, I think, for $30 or whatever it was when it came out. It may have been a little cheaper than that. I wouldn't spend $30 on it. But it was great. It was all the side-scrolling fun you could have with the difficulty of Dark Souls. Uber goddamn hard. Destiny 2 came out for all consoles. Destiny 2 is one of those games, like, I guess if you enjoyed the first one, then Destiny 2 is right up your alley. Most people kind of learned their lesson from the first Destiny game. I know me and John did. And so, yeah, I probably will never pick up Destiny 2. You'll get to a point where it's just an insufferable grind. You'll just it's like beating your head against the wall, just trying to get chunks of fucking cement to fall down. Small chunks of cement. I really don't understand the hype. It was a great game until you got to the point where you played everything and now you're expected to play everything again over and over again. And its greatest flaw for me, when the enemies did not randomly generate in different places. And you can't went through the same game or like the same strike modes over and over again. And it's just, they're literally same place every time. They're going to do the same thing every time you walk up on them. I don't see why that's interesting to people. And a lot of people argue with me. Like, well, you can't build up a strategy against them if you don't know where they're going to pop up. It's like, well, that's the fucking point. To make things new. And, make you not feel like you're going through the same sense of deja vu over and over again in the same damn game. Divinity Original Sin 2 kept popping up on a lot of lists. I'm not sure why. It literally is just a new age souped up Diablo. I'm not a big fan of those. I'm not even sure. Almost top down view that Diablo had. It's like a point and click style game, but with a controller. Diablo did it right, and there's a couple of other games that did it pretty good, but not enough to make me keep playing games of that genre. I just feel like if you don't feel like you're control of unless you're doing like a party thing where you're controlling 4 or 5 people, commanding them all to do shit. I'll get to a game like that in a little bit. Then it works out in that kind of style, but for the real-time action of just pointing and clicking and command-based combat, I'm surprised it's still a thing, really, outside of PC. Using it with a controller, everyone said Diablo 3 played great with a controller. John, did you ever play Diablo 3?
Yeah.
On the Xbox?
Yeah.
And it worked?
Yeah, just fine.
But I don't know. I think I tried. There was either a Diablo port to Xbox 360 or I don't think it was Diablo 2. I don't know. I just didn't like how it ran.
Diablo 3 ran good on 360 and on Xbox One. I owned them both.
You bought it twice?
Yes.
Come on, man. Wow. You're
Game's so nice, I bought it twice.
You are the kind of person that publishers love.
Ask me how many times I bought Minecraft.
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. And I know you bought Grand Theft Auto more than once.
I own 3 different versions. I've owned 3 different versions of Grand Theft Auto 5.
3?
Mm-hmm. Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC.
You bought it on PC?
I did not buy it. Somebody bought it for me.
Okay, well, that's a little better.
So I made sure to say owned, not bought.
Okay, not purchased.
Yes.
One of them was gifted.
Exactly.
Did you ever actually play it on PC, though? Did you put the time into it that you put into it on console?
I played the opening. Mission just so I could unlock the multiplayer stuff because that's what the person who bought it for me we were supposed to do. We were supposed to play multiplayer, and then they just stopped playing it. The guy who bought it is like, "Well, I'm not playing that anymore." It's like, well, at least I didn't actually shell out money for it. So
I'll tell you, that game. I'm going to get back to my list in a second. I'm going to talk about Grand Theft Auto. I noticed something the other day. That game boggles my mind because they had it for sale on the Xbox Live Store in the games for gold section where shit is discounted. And they're still trying to justify selling that game for like $89 a pop just because it gives you the shark card with like $1 million of in-game currency. It's like there is no fucking way.
I think it's because they're building up the whole GTA Online thing.
Yeah.
Like they just released a huge like new game style.
Yeah,
game
Doomsday
mode.
Doomsday Heist or some shit like that.
Something
where
like
you're
that, yeah.
literally saving the world, I guess, by being a bad guy. And that's great. I mean, I applaud Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar, got that one right, for supporting this game like they have. That game is over 2 years old, and they are constantly pumping out new stuff on Grand Theft Auto Online, almost to the point where I thought about picking it up for my Xbox One just to see what all's in there. I mean, we went over it a couple weeks ago. They had a horror mode, fucking Halloween tag or whatever the hell it was called that they pumped on there. They've got crazy stunt races, driving through tunnels up in the air, like all just sorts of nonsense. They have really stood by this game and supported it to death, which is probably why we haven't got Red Dead Redemption 2 yet.
It's on its way.
I know it's on its way, but it's taking a sweet-ass time. Anyway, I really do. I really applaud for the support that they've given to Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. That thing will be played for fucking decades to come. They might as well not even bother making a Grand Theft Auto 6 because they're going to be able to make money off Grand Theft Auto 5 for the next 10 years. But the fact that they still have the balls to try to sell their game for $90 a pop just because it gets in-game currency, I would really like to know the guy that sat down and like, I've never played Grand Theft Auto 5 before. I'm going to spend $90 on a 2-year-old game just so I don't have to start from scratch on the online mode. Who in the hell is going to do that? I'm sure there's somebody out there.
It's probably not a play. It's not a gamer as much as it is probably some, kid like, hey, Bob, going to their grandparents or whatever. Buy me this game. Buy me the $90 one. And the kid, parents or grandparents don't know the fucking difference. Like, these games are expensive today. Like, yeah, it is. Grandma, buy it for me. And
but that's just it though. If that kid wanted to play it, he'd already owned it a year ago.
Maybe.
I want to know the guy who's never played it and feels the need to spend $90 on it just because someone else's popular opinion of the game.
You didn't even address the giant fucking problem with what I just brought up.
What? No, grandma buying a little kid a Grand Theft Auto?
Yes.
Oh, because that argument's gone, dude. That argument is way past.
Really?
Oh, about little kids playing Grand Theft Auto and other violent games? That ain't even worth getting into. Because
I think it is. I didn't think they sold games. I thought they were mature rated.
They are mature rated, but mature ratings don't mean shit anymore. I mean, that doesn't stop people from selling the shit. Just like we talked about the microtransactions, one of their idea was to put a fucking emblem on the front of the box that says this game contains microtransactions.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have slowed down anyone buying the game because nobody cares.
I can tell you this much, when it comes to that shit, you can't stream. You can't be like under the age of, I think, 14 or something like that and stream these games.
But how do they know? Other than the fact that it sounds like a squeaker kid.
They don't, but they're watching those accounts, and if the kid ever slips and says his age, they'll ban his channel. They've done this in the past.
All right, go YouTube for actually.
Not YouTube. Twitch does that.
Oh, Twitch does that?
Twitch are fucking Nazis. They're the people who will meticulously watch your fucking channel just to strike you and block you.
That's because that shit is live, and every once in a while, some dumb girl pops a boob out to get views.
Fuck Twitch.
They can't be doing that shit. They have to regulate their shit because you never know. What the? There was a big story about Twitch not too long ago.
Don't take up for Twitch, Jake.
Huh?
Don't take up for Twitch.
I'm just
Fuck
saying.
Twitch.
They've got a lot of people on there, and all that shit's live. They do kind of have to keep track of that shit because a lot of these people out there that are actually playing that shit for a living and trying to make money off Twitch, like they will do literally anything. They will post on there on the bottom of their screen. They're going to kill a puppy live just for people to watch views, even if they don't kill the puppy. They're still going to say it so they can get the damn views. Oh, that's what it was. Some prick was posting that he was playing UFC. He was playing a UFC game. At least that's what he said. But what he was actually doing was restreaming a UFC pay-per-view on his fucking channel so people could watch it for free. And he got busted all to hell for it. I can't remember. They shut down his channel. They were trying to fucking sue his ass because, of course, UFC's losing money for it.
Well, I'm sure UFC had a claim.
Yeah.
They could have taken his ass to court.
That guy got in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah,
And
that's
I thought it was
stupid.
funny because that shit's stupid.
Well,
That's
yeah,
just
doing that
asking
on
to get in
Twitch is
trouble.
fucking retarded.
But yeah, that's okay. Let's get back to my list here. Get through this thing. Horizon Zero Dawn. For me to pick a game that I haven't played to get game of the year, that is really close to the top. That game looked beautiful. Sure, I'm sure it just played like the fucking new Tomb Raider games does. But I mean, graphics, storyline, everything that needs to be in a game like that, it had it going completely. It had a big DLC called The Frozen Wilds or some nonsense like that. Supposedly that one was really good too, well thought out, an extra map area, lots of shit. Honestly, I think Horizon Zero Dawn probably should have took it for the year. Another one, which would be my second guess, is Zelda Breath of the Wild. Literally, for a little while, the only reason to buy a Nintendo Switch. I watched gameplay. I literally watched almost 60 episodes of a group of guys that I'm not going to promote on my channel because it's kind of silly to do that. But they played like 60 some episodes of Breath of the Wild, and that game was amazing. I literally just sat there in awe.
If you want them to promote you, you can promote them.
Yeah, like they're ever going to catch it just
Reciprocity.
because. All right, fuck it. I watched the Game Grumps play 60 episodes.
Oh,
of fucking,
ooh. You watched the most popular gaming channel on the fucking
exactly.
YouTube.
Yeah, and they're not.
I don't want to mention the most popular gaming show, and yeah,
They're not
Jesus.
the most. There's a lot of people out there that still have a lot of more subscribers than them.
Yeah, trust me, you're not doing them any favors by mentioning them.
Yeah, I know. I feel weird promoting other shows on my show.
You mistake, sir. You mistake. You're not promoting. You're now name dropping them.
Okay, name dropping.
You're name dropping them on your stream to get views. So now we can put in the tags Game Grumps, and people can come check out the stream because you happen to mention them in the show.
Don't do that.
I'm not.
Excuse me for a second.
That fucked.
You said that, and I inhaled water when you said that.
That fucked with them.
But yeah. Ooh. But I loved everything about that game. I love the fact that every weapon that every person carried in that game you could pick up and use. There's not a lot of games that do that anymore.
What game?
Breath of the Wild.
Oh.
Now, armor, of course, was not the same. You couldn't just pick up any troll's loincloth and run around with it on. But every weapon in the game that somebody swung at you, you could take from them and fight back with it. Granted, that meant there was a lot of inventory swapping or a lot of just leaving junk laying on the ground. Because after a while, you're not going to need a spike club that some goblin was swinging at you. But it worked for the beginning of the game. Oh, excuse me. I'm fucking still dying on that water I swallowed. But the puzzles were really neat. Everything about that game was really cool. That would almost get my pick for Game of the Year if I'd ever played it. Then you have PubG. We already talked about it. It is really good. One interesting thing about it is no two matches are ever really the same. You have your moments where you find a car early on and it turns into a fucking vehicular death trap or death match, or you get into crazy shootouts. It is a very varied. It's got a varied type of gameplay to it, depending on how you want to go. Mario Odyssey, that kept popping up. I am not a fan of the 3D Mario games. I never played Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine or all those other 3D Mario games. I never really thought they would be any good. A lot of people do like them. There's a lot of exploration in them. For me, I would rather go play 2D Mario games. I would stick to that kind of thing. One that kind of popped up that I was surprised kept popping up on lists was Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, which literally kind of just looks like this year's Doom or this year's Wolfenstein, considering they just pumped one out last year or the year before. And it looks like a solid game. It's a chaotic type of shooter. There's no precision to it whatsoever. It's very linear. It's got the basic Wolfenstein feel to it. Hallway shooters, if that's what you like to call them. It looks kind of neat, but not good. I don't know why, but I'm not big on story-driven first-person shooters. There's only been a couple of them that really done well, and I've never really put the time into Wolfenstein to see if that falls into the list. Another one that I'm not surprised that's on the list, and is actually the last one before I actually put my pick on here, is Resident Evil 7. And for me, Resident Evil 7 was kind of like its big comeback, because I've thought the Resident Evil hasn't been good since Resident Evil 4. I played 5 for about 10 damn minutes, and I played it solo, so you had your little chick partner tripping over you constantly, trying to push her out of the way, just like all companions in all games constantly get in your way. But Resident Evil 7 looked to be like, everything looked new. It was a cool idea. It was in first person, but the survival aspect really came back. You were never going to get more than 10 bullets for your pistol. When you first found that shotgun, it was going to be like this amazing experience of, hey, I may not die in the next 10 minutes because now I have my shotgun. I may only have 3 shells for it, but now I got my shotgun. I got a little bit better of a chance. The whole thing just looked really interesting. And one day when it's down to like $20, I'll probably buy it and play it. But like I said, I'm a cheapskate and buy all my games on when they're on sale. Now, through all these games, some of them were good. Some of them I didn't see the point of. But for all these games, the game that I found this year that really sucked me in, really just kept me playing for literally hours and hours, I'm trying to beat it for like the second or third time now, would be XCOM 2's expansion pack, War of the Chosen. I never played XCOM until XCOM Enemy Unknown popped up for free on Xbox Live, and I downloaded it, I played it, I fell in love with it. I bought XCOM 2 as soon as it came out, played the shit out of that, had a hard time actually beating it because it's a permadeath game. Like, you have your group or your roster of soldiers, and if you have a mission that goes wrong and you send 5 or 6 soldiers in there and they all die, that's 5 or 6 soldiers off your roster. They're not coming back. Unless, of course, you cheat the game and just reload your save over and over again, which is what most people do to actually beat the game. I'm not going to lie, I did it a bunch. Right now, I'm playing through it on a Iron Man mode where it takes that ability away. So you literally have to go through it without being able to reload your last save point when everything goes to shit. And it really does change the game for you. You really think about the strategy of moving across the map to get the scientist out of the holding cell or destroy a amplifier, whatever the mission might be. But when War of the Chosen came out, they just threw all this interesting stuff in there that, like, after you play War of the Chosen, you'll never be able to go back and play the regular XCOM game, which is great because it's when you start up the game, it's literally got a choice. Do you want to play the expansion or do you want to play the regular game? You'll never go back to the regular game. They throw in these super difficult bosses that'll pop up into the game basically anytime they want. I think there was about 3 of those guys. They throw in factions that you can work with that actually give you different types of soldiers to put on your roster and use on your missions. Every one of them is different. My only complaint is I can't get enough of them. I would love to have a squad of 6 skirmishers to go in there and tear the shit out of everybody. But for some reason, the most I've ever gotten was 2 from one faction. But it just adds so much to the game. They get to go on covert missions that you decide who goes on what mission. You don't get to play the missions, but after they're finished, they bring extra stuff back that helps you in progress through the game. It was a system that was good, and I never thought it could get any better. And then War of the Chosen come out, and it just shoved it right over the top. I love War of the Chosen. I'll be playing this game. It'll be my go-back to game, like, for years and years on end until I literally get sick of it. I've only actually beaten it once. My goal is to beat it on Iron Man mode. It may never happen, but damn it, I'm going to keep trying. But there you go. There's my list of this year's best games. sadly enough, majority of them are on PlayStation, and one of them's on Switch, and all the rest of them, only one of them's exclusive to Xbox. This has really been my Xbox exclusive bitch episode. But other than that, I am pretty much out of topics, but my producer said he wanted to talk about Metal Gear Solid 5.
It sucked, thank you.
Come on. It's the big open world system. You told me like you can build or not build many forts, but at least
you build your base. You have a base.
Fort. Yes, you get to personalize your base the way you want it. I don't know how far it goes into it. John's played it. I haven't. I wish I could borrow it from him, but he bought it digitally.
Yep.
And game sharing is ridiculous.
It's stupid.
The game is stupid or game sharing stupid?
The game is fucking stupid. Okay.
Come on, dude, let loose. I want to hear it.
All right.
Unleash the beast. Sorry.
Okay, you're playing the game, right? You're going through the mission, and you get to one of the last part. You meet with the fucking bad guy, the big bad guy. His name's Skullface. And you're like, holy fuck, you know, you're sneaking in to get him, and then all of a sudden you get captured by his dudes. They're all waiting for you. They throw you in the back of a Jeep. And then you have a very long and uncomfortable ride with Skullface across the entire fucking map, long enough for them to play a song in its entirety and still have enough time for a long, protruded conversation where it's literally just Skullface talking to you.
That's classic for Metal Gear games.
Not in this way. I mean, you'd have to see it to understand. It's so out of place. You finally get to this hangar, and there's this giant mech. Like, oh, there's the mech, and you've seen it before, but this time you're like, oh shit, like, because you've actually had to escape it before. Early in the game, they sent it after you, and you had to escape it and get the doctor out and all this shit, and then you end up coming back, and there it is, and all of a sudden, it gets hijacked by some floating kid, and there's a giant. There's this fucking guy on fire who's been pursuing you through the entire game, and he walks in front of the. There's like like the thing that carries the space shuttle out to the launch pad.
Sure.
Like the roller thing. He just walks right in front of the tread and gets run over. That's the end of him. No other real explanation. Just he's done.
Thanks
That's it.
for coming.
Yeah. The guy's been fucking. He was in the beginning of the game. He came to the fucking hospital, killed everybody in his way to get to you. He's been tracking you through the entire game. Just walks right in front of the tread, kills himself. Little floaty kid. He takes control of the mech. And now and then basically turns it on Skullface. And kills Skullface. And then comes after you. You take it down. And then, he kind of kills Skullface. He gets Skullface trapped under some metal girders and shit. And leaves for dead. He's in the middle of a fire. So you come and you basically, in a very weird way, blow off his fucking legs and leave him to die in a fire. But then the doctor comes up and shoots him. That's the end of Skullface. It's like, okay, so end the game. Credits roll. It's like, wow, that was kind of short, but whatever. I was like, I'm still wondering what the hell was up with the doctor, what was up with the kids, what was up with the sniper I got. There's so many unanswered questions. Oh, wait, that was chapter 1. Here comes chapter 2. Okay, what's chapter 2 consist of? Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Assorted missions that mean nothing.
Side missions, shit like that?
Yeah. Go get some kids. There's some fucking kids running around. Go pick their asses up. Oh, and you can't fucking extract them the way you do all the soldiers and shit. Yeah, for some reason, we won't let you extract the fucking kids. So instead, you got to carry them to the helicopter. Oh, so they'll tag along with you. But you also have to understand, these kids are fucking stupid. So they'll run out in front of you and get mowed down by a fucking enemy guard just because they're fucking assholes. So there was a level where I literally had to escort them out of a fucking area just littered with guards. I had to shoot them all with a tranquilizer gun and knock their asses out to keep them from running in front of me and getting shot. Then I had to go back one by one and pick these cocksuckers up and take them to the fucking helicopter and dump them. Never have I been so frustrated. Then you go after their fucking boss. Or this all happened in chapter 1, by the way. I'm just recounting chapter 1. Then you go after their leader, who's some fucking kid named Eli that you find out is actually Liquid Snake. Ooh. He's a little prick from start to finish. You beat him up, you bring him to the fucking... Yeah, that's right, you beat up a kid. And you bring him to the fucking mother base, and he's just like a little prick who won't talk to you. And then he fucking starts destroying shit around the fucking base. And like doing shit, so you meet him on a fucking platform, and then you beat his ass again, and then he's like, "Fine, fuck you," and he gives you his little shell thing, like, "Fine, you know, you won" or whatever. And then he fucking wait, well, let's not go get ahead of ourselves. Well, first he organizes the little kids to escape. All the fucking kids you just went through to fucking to bring back to the mother base, he fucking says he organizes their escape. So now you got to go back and capture every single one of these cocksuckers and bring them back individually in separate missions. That was a hoot.
So it becomes Metal Gear babysitter simulation.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Now, on top of that, you get the old Indian guy, not dot Indian, like, you know, Native American Indian,
right?
Who's in a mansion, who you have to go down the basement and capture, and then you find out he's the guy who created the vocal cord parasite thing. And oh boy, what happens in a Metal Gear series when you don't have nanomachines to fall back on? You have vocal parasites. Vocal parasites explain it all. Why is this bitch who doesn't speak able to fucking like disappear and reappear in other places, run really fast, and nothing seems to kill her? Vocal parasites. Why is the man on fire able to fucking do all his shit, and it seems like he just keeps coming, and he's on fire, and he just gets shot by tanks and bullets and everything else, and he just keeps coming? Vocal parasites. Why doesn't anyone in this game die? Vocal parasites. You get the point. It's the same thing as fucking nanomachines, only now it's vocal cord parasites. And this was the big scheme that Skullface was working on. But Skullface is dead. So what does it all mean? I don't know. Who are we chasing now? Nobody fucking knows. So eventually you get to a point where that little prick, because after you kill or beat up the fucking big robot, the big Metal Gear, you bring it back to base for some unknown fucking reason.
Yard ornament.
Pretty much, yeah. And then shit just starts happening. Like everything starts fucking falling to pieces. Like all of a sudden the vocal cord parasite breaks out on your base. And you have to go into the medical ward and literally kill your own men just because they're infected with this new strain and they can't be saved because it's some thing where it will spread if they get out and then they die, and then the crows and rats or whatever will eat them and then take the parasite to land and spread it, and then it will kill anybody who speaks English. So you have to kill your own men. Oh, you're such a monster. And then you find out that part of the reason why the parasite spread is because of the doctor that you captured earlier in the game, because he's been fucking with you the whole time too. So you fucking torture his goddamn ass. Everybody wants to kill his ass, but then you're like, no, send him away on a boat. So you send him away. And everybody's like, well, fuck you. It's like, what are you doing? Then the kid up and fucking takes off with the goddamn robot. He's like, fuck you, jumps in the robot and fucking takes off. Like, bye, kid. See ya.
Jesus.
It's like, so, all right, everything I've been working this entire fucking game for is gone. All of it. And then you get a mission pop up where you have to replay the first level of the fucking game all over again.
The whole thing where you're crawling through the hospital with one hand, and people told me that took like 45 minutes to pull off.
Yes.
I've heard like horror stories about that level.
It's the worst level in gaming history, and you have to play it again.
Why?
Because they're assholes, Jake. They're assholes.
There's no like purpose to the story?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Here's the biggest kick in the fucking nuts. You've been following the Metal Gear series, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, so you played Snake Eater, right?
Yes, I love Snake Eater. Okay.
So you're aware that everything before the original Metal Gear is you're playing as Big Boss, right?
Kinda, yeah.
You don't know what...
I remember something about that.
You know, Snake Eater was Big Boss, right? It wasn't Solid Snake?
Right.
Okay. At least you're on that page. You find out that you weren't Big Boss this entire time. You're not Big Boss. Everyone's calling you Big Boss. You think you're Big Boss. All your cronies like Ocelot and fucking and Kaz are fucking, oh, Big Boss. Hey, Big Boss, we got to go do this shit. Yeah, you find out you're not Big Boss. You're the doctor who was in the helicopter in the last game, which I actually skipped over. I didn't play it. The fucking Ground Zeroes.
Okay.
You're in the helicopter that takes shrapnel from a bomb blast that hits Snake or I'm sorry, Big Boss and everybody. But the doctor who was working on something, who was in the helicopter with you, that's who you are. You're just some nobody. You're just some nobody who they facially altered to make look like Big Boss because they knew eventually somebody was going to come for Big Boss. So they wanted to squirrel away Big Boss and hide him somewhere while you took on the role of Big Boss, so everybody came after you instead of coming after the real Big Boss.
While you took the role as Big Boss that actually looked like Solid Snake.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. Like,
wow.
And then you find out, like, when you play this, like, yeah, Big Boss, he's fine. He's got his fucking hand and everything. He's got his fucking, you know, he doesn't have a big giant rock out of his, you know, in his fucking head like you do. Like, he's just fine. You're just this fucked up dude who's claiming to be Big Boss, and everybody's playing along with it. Like, oh, let's see how far we can get with this routine. And then and it's all to build up to this. This is what it's all about. Basically, the boss at the end of the original Metal Gear, the original NES or MSX version of Metal Gear, whichever one you're looking at, that was you from the Phantom Pain. That was the Big Boss from Phantom Pain. So when Snake comes in and kills him, he didn't kill the real Big Boss. That's why the Big Boss was able to make another appearance in Metal Gear 2.
Jesus Christ. Oh,
that's how that little nitpicky part, because you fight Big Boss in both the NES or MSX games or whatever. He's the boss at the end of both games. Well, how do you explain that? Oh, there were two big bosses.
See, this...
The biggest waste of fucking time I think I've played since Final Fantasy fucking 15. Absolutely.
But, I mean, other than the crazy storyline, which you kind of have to expect from whatever the fuck that guy's name is, Hideo Kimijoa or whatever his name is. I just brutalized that tonight.
Yes, you did.
Anyway, the Asian guy who likes to make fuck up games.
Kimijoa. I'm going to remember that. That's good.
Kimijoa. How do you pronounce his name?
It's Hideo Kojima.
There, I was close.
No, you weren't.
Anyway, like, the game itself wasn't fun to play. I mean, the mechanics, the gameplay. I mean, granted, the story was like following a fucking leaf blowing through a goddamn forest, but
the mechanics were good, but it got repetitive really fucking fast because it's only like a part of a game that they expanded into. Like, it's like, let's just take this one mission and expand it 40 fucking times and we'll call that a game.
It kind of sounds like you almost, when you start the game, it starts to have a storyline, but then like you start doing side missions trying to figure out which one.
Yeah. No, you're in. The first chapter, you're fucking in. You are like, wow. It's crazy because you're just like, you know, you break out of the fucking hospital. You're being chased by a burning man and a floating kid. It's like you get taken, you know, you have to rebuild your strength and all this, and then you got to go find Kaz, who's your buddy from In Arms from all the old missions, and you're going to rebuild, you know, the mother base that was destroyed in the last couple of games. You know, it's like you're retaking everything you had. You're fighting against Cypher. You're fighting back against the guys who are trying to kill you, and you're trying to discover the mystery of who the fuck are these, you know, these crazy people who are following me. Like, is this a dream? Is it a hallucination? Are these people real? You know, and it just unveils it slowly but surely, and then you start to learn more and more about, like, because you get tracked by these fucking soldiers who are just like, they're kind of like zombies. They just kind of walk around like, and they're almost impossible to kill. It takes a lot to fucking kill them, and then you find out they're part of this whole vocal cord parasite fiasco. Which, you know, it's just the replacement for nano machines. If you could buy nano machines in the other games, then you can buy the vocal cord parasites in this one. But they unveiled it in such a way to where it kept you interested. And like when you find I'm trying to remember the name of the place. It's like the Devil's something, but this really creepy like hospital kind of facility. It's like an old warehouse they converted into like a hospital, but it's nothing but like bloody fucking corpses and blood everywhere, smeared all over the fucking walls, and you're
So
walking.
Silent Hill.
Kinda. I mean, it got really weird and spooky, and it's like, wow, this just fucking took a turn. And then you start finding bodies with like earbuds shoved in their throats. You're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is just crazy town. And and then you get attacked by the fucking man on fire again. It's like, holy fuck! It's like, this guy won't leave me alone. Like, and it's all building to some crescendo that never fucking happens. Oh, and by the way, the kid that I talked about who ran off with the big robot. That's it. He just ran off.
So did you finish the game?
Yes. So yeah, I finished it as much as you can possibly finish it. I finished that. I finished the last mission with. Oh, and by the way, the credits will run at least 4 or 5 times. You know, just on different missions, just to show you. I mean, the credits roll after every actual mission, like short credits.
Which
but I mean,
ridiculous.
actual game, like full length game credits. Ended. It happened 3 fucking times to end this game, and what I saw wasn't even the actual end. The thing with the kid who ran off with my fucking mech, they cut that from the game.
Really?
You heard it right. They cut an entire mission out of the fucking game that involved you going back and dealing with that fucking kid.
Huh.
You know what they did do with it? They sold it back to you in DLC. And you know what the best part is? It's not even a fucking playable mission. It's a goddamn 17-minute cutscene that you pay for.
You pay for a cutscene?
Yes. To find out what happened to that cunt kid and the fucking robot he ran off with.
I bet you could probably find it on YouTube for free, can't you?
Probably at this point, yes.
Wow.
I'm going to save myself the fucking money and just watch it on YouTube. 'Cause
That is
fuck them.
insane. There's a lot of stupid things that people pay for in games, but a fucking cutscene?
I think it's all just to explain that it's Liquid Snake. Like, who whooped his shit? Like, I kind of figured out that the kid was like, had some sort of connection to Big Boss or something. Although they did make a really big point of like, oh, this isn't, because they ran a DNA test. Like, this isn't your son, Big Boss, because the DNA isn't the same. Like, of course it's not, because that's not really Big Boss, see? It's so fucking retarded. Then you find out, yeah, that's one of the clone children of the Big Boss.
That's why I'm kind of glad I just one and done it with Snake Eater. Like, I played the first one that was on PlayStation 1 or 2, whichever one that...
That's not the first one.
Well, the first one that made it big.
Metal Gear was pretty big.
I know. Well, which one was the big one that was on, like, PlayStation 1? Just Metal Gear
That's
Solid?
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I played that one, and that was great. I don't know if I ever beat it, but I love the fact that, like, I remember me and Tribble and I think Bubs were sitting there playing it, and we got to the part with the fucking psychic guy that could see all your moves coming.
Yeah.
And... like, we were getting our ass kicked, just handed to us over and over and over again, and we couldn't figure it out. And finally, it was my turn to play again, and I've like, all right, I'm going to go talk to all the people in the little radio channels and see if they can help us figure out, because it's worked before in that game. If you dig through enough shit, it'll tell you how to do it. And lo and behold, the general or the fucking tech girl, whichever one, they were like, if you pull your controller cord out and put it into port 2, he can't read your mind anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you shitting me? And I unplugged it and plugged it into the other one, and I'm whooping this guy's ass. Tribble and Bub are sitting next to me, cussing up me like a storm. Like, I can't believe this is bullshit, dude. We all tried this over and over, and then they fucking tell you just to change the fucking controller port. I was like, yeah, I beat him. Fuck that guy. Oh, dude, it was one of the funniest moments in couch co-op gaming ever. And it wasn't even co-op. It was just...
That's one of those days I miss. That's the stuff I used to miss, like when we used to just sit around and pass the controller around. You'd get your life, and then when you died, you pass the controller to the next person. They could take a crack at it. Like,
yep. And they games aren't even built that way anymore.
Yeah,
like,
they're not.
You can't do that shit. You could probably do it with Cuphead. There's a game where you could do
Probably.
it because
Yeah.
that controller be passed around quicker than shit.
Probably, yeah.
But there we
So,
go.
Yeah, there's my long overdue review since the game's older than fuck now. But yeah, fuck that game.
Hey, that's what this show is all about, talking about old games because we can't afford to buy the new ones.
No, we can. It's just there's nothing good being made.
That too, yeah.
They stopped making good games back in 1986.
86?
Yeah, fuck it.
Damn. That's not true.
I
Twisted
know.
Metal Black was made like late 90s, and it was fucking awesome. Anyway, this has been Wardog Live. Thanks for watching. Check me out on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Watch some of my Let's Play videos.
Sorry, I cut early.
That's all right. Thanks for watching. Good night.
One day is just like every other. Here we go. One day is just like every other. Here we go. One day is just like every other. Here we go.
Lost my mind.
Here we go.
Yeah.